Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. We're going to get right into the June love tarot reading for the sign of Virgo. Alright, start right off with the Romance Angel Oracle deck. We're going to pull your two cards. Alright, so how you doing, Virgos? Lovely Virgos, earth sign. Alright. How you guys doing this June? June's coming up. Summer solstice is coming up. I'm going to be putting full moon readings, new moon readings up soon. June 3rd will be my new moon readings day, where I do all my new moon readings and upload at the same, all in the same day. But let's see what's going on for you lovely Virgos for this June 2019. Give us a couple of cards to help us understand what love outlook is for Virgos this June. Heart-to-heart conversations is one. We'll pull one more card. Give us a clear message. What kind of energy do you want Virgo to take with them through their interactions in love? Attraction. All right, at the bottom of the deck we have flirt. That's always good, right? Flirt. Hang on a second. Let me correct my lighting a little bit, you guys. All right. That's a little bit better, right? All right. So, yes. Flirt at the bottom of the deck. All right. Extend your lighthearted energy to others. Flirting's always good. It's always healthy. And you got heart-to-heart conversations. Honestly, discuss your feelings with each other. And attraction. You attract romantic love by enjoying this moment fully. So that's the law of attraction, right? Enjoying yourself, enjoying the moment, and you attract like-minded people who want to share that energy. So that's pretty good. It's pretty nice energy for you guys, Virgo. So let's get into the Rider-Waite deck and get your cards out. Let's see. We're going to pull. I'll relight that candle in a minute. That was happening when I shuffle my cards. It's like the wind, but I like to keep air, in the deck when I'm shuffling, That brings in the element of air, of thought, connectedness. All right, so show me a clear message for Virgo. It is June 2019. Love reading. Give us a clear picture of what Virgo is going to be looking forward to. Those who are in love, want to keep love. Those who are trying to find love or attract love into their lives. Some of you may be ready to move on, right? But you got these two cards, attraction and heart-to-heart conversations. Flirt sounds to me like this reading may be about those of you who are just getting to know someone, right? Just getting ready to have those first conversations about possibly becoming committed, or at least sharing each other's feelings, like it says, heart-to-heart conversations. And give us a clear reading for Virgo, June 2019. Show me. Show me. All right, here we go. Alright, Virgo. Let's see what the reading has for you. 9 of Pentacles, 5 of Cups, 8, Strength. It's the Leo card. Got the King of Wands. 8 of Pentacles, another 8. Another 8 of Wands. Wow. 8 of Cups. Okay. 5 of Swords, 2 5s, and a 10 of Wands. Wow. All right, Virgo. So, and at the bottom, we've got the Chariot. So 7, right? Emotion, movement. The 7s are all about moving towards your dreams, reevaluating your dreams, making a move towards those dreams. You have a lot of 8s. Virgo, a lot of 8s. You have the 8 major arcana, 8 in Pentacles, 8 in Cups, 8 in Wands, right? And so that's very significant. 8 talks about boundaries, limitations, difficult situations that are hard to handle, right? The strength card talks about knowing your own limitations and strengths, right? Because that's the Leo card. So definitely you've got a period of limitations and boundaries is really going to be like the hot topic this June for you, Virgo. You know, the testing of limitations, the testing of boundaries, figuring out how strong you really are, what you're really willing to take and what you're not. You know, so let's get right into it. So 9 of Pentacles is coming up, of course. So 9 Pentacles talks about, you know, abundance, right? She's worked very hard for her pentacles there, her abundance, her garden, but she is on her own. And 9s talk about doing things on your own, being alone or isolated, perhaps. And the admonishment from this card is sometimes our money or our finances, you know, our riches can separate us from others, right? But she has worked very hard for what she wants, and I guess this is kind of like, are you happy with what you've achieved? But has it been at the expense, perhaps, of being with others, being closer to others? Has it separated you from others? Right? You have 9, but you know, you get through this and then get to 10, which is integration, right? Where you are no longer separated. You have abundance and family. But here in the 9 of Pentacles, it definitely talks about being kind of like on your own. You've done well. You have a good living. You might have a good lifestyle. You might have really established yourself in your career. But it's been kind of a lonely battle. Or you may perhaps now be feeling a little bit lonely in your kind of like abundance, right? And 5 of Cups talks about, you know, grief, right? Grief, looking back on relationships that have caused you a lot of grief. It can also be an admonishment of wallowing in your grief too much. He's ignoring the other possibilities for love, which are right there, right? If only he needs to look up and turn around. So it's really kind of like he's that kind of engrossed in his feelings. All right. And it talks about, you know, just allowing grief to take you over. 5s is the number of power struggles. So at some point, you know, are you ready to move beyond grief and look into the possibility of new relationships now? Understanding why the old ones didn't work and being strong enough, right, to move on. So that's something that's you're working through right now. And it could be that this is why you've been so isolated and why you've kind of kept to yourself, because of this kind of like feeling smarted by the previous relationships, right, Virgo? You're very sensitive. Virgos can be extremely sensitive. And here we get our first 8 cup right out the major arcana, which is the Leo card, right? And this talks about, of course, you know, coming to terms with your own limitations, your own boundaries, testing your own strength. You know, how strong are you inside? That's what this card is all about. Balance, right? Knowing yourself and controlling your emotions, right? Harnessing your strengths, right? And knowing when to, you know, when to play to them and when to realize that, you know, you don't have what it takes, or you know, you may be a little bit limited where you thought, you know. Sometimes you have to know when to kind of give in and realize that it's too much, or you're carrying too much, right? And that's part of strength as well, is knowing your limitations. So you're definitely working on that now, Virgo. And I think that is possibly definitely coming out of this grief in the previous relationships. That's what has pushed you into that realm of figuring out for yourself, well, who really am I? And how, you know I'm stronger than I think I am, you know. And right now, you're kind of like really thinking about that. You're probably creating situations that test that. You could be in situations that's testing that, you know, testing your ability to keep control of yourself and keep control over things like, you know, anger, or, you know, our baser emotions, you know, wanting vengeance or anger or pride, jealousy, things like that, right? Realizing how strong you are, that you can overcome those type of baser emotions as well. And here comes the Knight of Wands. So looking back, I feel like somebody I'm sorry, not Knight of Wands, King of Wands, right? So King of Wands is a person, he's the one who's, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's already established himself. He's highly creative, very industrious. You know, he works on issues he works on projects that stoke his passion. He's a very passionate individual, you know, stable, right? But passionate but stable, able to see his vision through, right? And I believe that this is somebody who perhaps is in your life or has recently been in your life. It could be as, I feel like they're maybe just passing through and out of your life right now. They're looking back. The card is looking back, and I just get the sense that maybe this is a good friend or someone that, you know, you really admired, that kind of like, you admired their passion, right? But somehow, perhaps you're not as close with them as you'd like to be. It could be that, you know, this is a friendship, but it's like, you know, you're separate now, maybe because of arguments. Maybe your friendship is being tested. Remember, eights is all about boundaries and limitations and testing them. So it can be as well that your friendships right now are being tested. Their boundaries are being, their limitations are being tested. How far will they go? Here we come to the next eight of discs. So eight of discs talks about work, right? Labor, right? But labor in a sense that labor, you know, like when you labor away at a craft, right? You stick to a kind of schedule, you stick to a routine or a set of rules on how to do this craft. You see, it's kind of like all the pentacles are the same. So he's kind of like, you know, he's kind of in a rhythm, a routine, right? And that can be a form of limitation, but in a good way. So this card talks about like accepting that some limitations are positive, right? Like the limitation of a steady job, a 9-to-5 job, you know, where you must be there at a certain time and you must, or a certain type of craft job you may have that where you must like create the product, you know, according to this spec. You know what I mean? All of these things can feel like restrictions, right? But they are good restrictions. There's such a thing as good restrictions because they focus you to a task and to accomplishing the task properly. So this card really talks about as well, you know, finding in your life as well, finding sort of like your own limitations that are positive for you. You know, sometimes we give ourselves, like, if we're dealing with a certain negative energy, say we've been going out too much or we've been drinking too much, we start to put certain limitations on ourselves and say, okay, you know, I want to stop doing this, so maybe I'll stop going here, or maybe I'll stop, you know, maybe I won't keep alcohol in the house, or maybe I won't drink past a certain time of day, or maybe I'll, you know what I mean? You start to put, or maybe if there's a certain social circle you've been hanging out with that's been, you know, you need to pull back from, you start to create limitations for yourself, but that's all in a positive way to get you to focus on a positive track. So that's the duality of being, of having boundaries at times when they are good for you. We go right into another eight, right? 8 of Wands. And this happens a lot of times when you're feeling highly creative, and then all of a sudden now you've got all of these ideas coming in, all of these options, right? There's a lot of chaos now coming up as a result of this intense creativity. You could have a lot of people coming into you, coming towards you, coming in for you, right? With options and decisions. It's just very chaotic, right? This is the card of chaotic passions, too many opportunities, too many options, too many ideas, and no cohesion. And again, it talks about limiting, finding a focus, finding a way to concentrate all of this, which is a form of limitation, so that it's more focused and productive. And again, so here again, it's another challenge to kind of buckle down and narrow down and cut out the bullshit, and you know what I mean, and have criteria, right? Not everything is acceptable. Sometimes, you know, chaos can't always, you know, chaos, creativity can come out of chaos, but you don't want it to remain in chaos, right? That's why they talk about in order, reality is the energy and the form. So it's like you have to have the form. For instance, if you're trying to get a drink of water, it needs to be in a cup. It needs to be in a form that you can drink it. Where the water is the energy, but to interact with it, it has to also combine with form, right? And so that's the duality of you must have certain boundaries in your life, right? We go right into another 8 of cups. So this is why I'm saying this is so significant, Virgo. With this many 8s on the deck, this whole love reading for June for you is very significant in terms of you really coming through a period where you're finding yourself, and like I said, you're going to expand as a result. 8 of Cups is talking about setting boundaries in love, realizing what you're willing to accept, turning your back on relationships that no longer serve you. Realizing that you now have a criteria, right? You're not going to accept people who treat you a certain way. You're set, again, this is about setting boundaries in a healthy way so that you can now move towards healthier relationships that are deeper and more positive for you. You've learned the wisdom of setting standards, setting rules, setting criteria, asking questions, not being always so I'll accept anybody and everyone because that's how I should be. And that's not necessarily the way to be. And a lot of these notions are misguided. Sure, you can accept people in terms, anybody can be what they want to be, but in terms of how they relate to you, you have to set boundaries. You have to set rules in your life that you're going to adhere to. Criteria that relationships and people must fulfill in order to be in your life. These are healthy. 5. So you have 2 5s in the deck as well. So definitely there's a power struggle going on as well. And I think this power struggle is definitely with you in yourself here, in terms of not letting despair overtake you, controlling your despair, and also here, controlling the narrative of those around you. So your social group, the people around you. Lately there's been a lot of, this is the card of a cheap win. You notice he's looking back, he's laughing, he's won the battle, but he's won it by being underhanded. It's a hollow win. His opponents, they're walking away in disgust. They've just thrown the swords down and they're just walking away. They're not walking away in a defeated kind of, they're just kind of like, ugh, God. This is, I don't even feel like fighting this guy. He's not even honorable. So it's an empty win. It's a hollow win. And it's because 5 is power struggles. This is winning at all costs, right? This is a desire for power at all costs, and not when you truly deserve it because you truly worked for it, but gaining it by any means necessary, and those means are often empty, hollow, and without any kind of honor. So I think that that's something that's definitely been going on under the scenes with the people around you. And I feel like that's why you're setting up these boundaries now. You don't want this in your life anymore, right? I don't think this is you, Virgo. I think this is what you've been going through. And I think this is, somebody has been acting like this character in your life, and then it's left you feeling like that character, right? And so I think that is where, heart-to-heart conversations come in. You have to have heart-to-heart conversations to be able to handle, like, this kind of situation where it's this is about words and things that people say and do. Their actions, and a lot of times to get to the bottom of it, or to cut out something like this, or get away from somebody like this, you have to have the right conversations with the right people to make sure that the ones you do care about know why you're doing what you're doing, and also to find out, what's really happening, because a lot of times this card also talks about deceptive energy, so you're not, lying, right? And here we go with 10s. There is completion. So 10 of Wands definitely says you're moving towards completion, even though you've gotten a lot of 8s. The 9 of Discs is up here too. But completion is here for you. It's the last step before you begin the new. He's walking the final steps into town. It's been a long journey. He's holding on to all of those wands that, he's collected on the way. right? And it's the last little push through before he is ready to ascend, right? To let go of these, right? It's baggage, right? This is baggage, but it's also, you know, it's the last little hurdle, but you will come to a realization where you have to let go of the baggage to move forward. So let's get some clarity. It's quite an interesting read, Virgo. Very interesting indeed. A lot of eights. A lot of eights. Never really had a reading with this many eights. Almost all of the eights of the minor arcana, the suits. Only the Eight of Swords is missing. Give us a clear message, some clarity on this reading with Virgo. I feel like they're definitely going through a period of testing their limits and their boundaries, putting boundaries in place for those in relationships with them, and figuring out their own limitations, how strong they really are. That's what I'm saying. I think that this strength here is you realizing that you need to start putting boundaries in place with people around you and with yourself so that you can move forward. Give us some clarity on Virgo for this June. Show me. Show me. All right, here we go. All right. Nine of Cups. Six, Lovers. Wow, it's definitely about a past relationship. Three of Swords, just sorrow, and Five of Wands. It's a strife again. Another power struggle. Princess of Wands has been coming up almost for every reading so far. And here we go. We got the Chariot again. So Seven. It's definitely moving out of this with a vision for yourself. So even though, here we go, Eights, another Eight. Eight of Wands. Right? Swiftness and communication. Right? Swiftness, ideas, right? Coming together. But here in the Thoth deck, it's kind of let you know, yes, there is a lot coming in. But if you pay attention to who you really are, your true kind of to your virtue, right? You can begin to make some sense out of it. Here's the other Eight of Wands from the Rider-Waite. So this is where the options are coming in and you're just not making any sense of it, right? When the Thoth deck, it tells us that there is a way to make sense, to get through all of this, but it talks about, you know, you have to concentrate and you have to communicate with people. Be honest, communicate. Don't just let things come in, ideas bounce around, and assumptions bounce around, right? So the way through this is communication, because in the Thoth deck you have Mercury and Sagittarius, which talks about communication. All right. So let's clarify. Knight of Cups is up here, and Nine of Cups, you have Nine of Pentacles. So over that Five. So yeah, you definitely feel like you've been on your own, right? You've been left on your own. You've had to work for things on your own. You've established yourself on your own. The Nine of Cups, though, is also talking about your relationship with yourself, like, you know, gotten to a point where you know who you are, and therefore, you know, you're happy with yourself, right? You're happy with yourself, and so you're bringing in happy relationships. Nine of Cups is the law of attraction. It's the attraction card. It's realizing that, you know, if you are in the moment and you are happy and you love the moment, you love yourself, then love will come towards you. Happiness will come towards you. You know, happiness is the best thing, is the best mood to bring in more happy people and feelings, right? So definitely that's how you're feeling. I think this is the energy that's coming towards you after having been through this very kind of grief-stricken period. You're realizing that you have to pick yourself up out of this misery. The Lover's card is here, so definitely I feel like somebody has come in that you feel very attracted to, right? You feel really kind of like you're ready to take a chance with somebody, right? And that's spurring you on to look deeper and be stronger, right? It's spurring you on. I think this new meeting has reminded you of the things you've gone through before, and you want to go into this with a careful, cautious mind. You want to reflect on where were the mistakes made before, and where should I set my boundaries this time, my limits. Let me make sure, because that Lover's card is still on top of underneath of it is the strength, is the Leo card, your desire to be in control. Okay, there's been a lot of sorrow, and I think this person probably coming out. So like I said, this King of Wands, I believe, is somebody that you were close to who's kind of passing away. And I don't mean passing away like as in, passing away. I mean passing out and away from your life. Like kind of, you're at the end of like being around them. You may see them a few more times, but you probably won't see them again. I feel like this person is just leaving, kind of your circle. And they were a source of they may have, this leaving or somehow this connection with this person may have been a source of a lot of that sorrow that you were dealing with. Maybe their leaving is a source of sorrow. This is Three of Swords, so definitely talks about, disharmony there in a relationship. It could be third-party energy, cheating. Somebody has not been honest in their communication, and so the bonding, which normally would happen with threes, has been kind of stifled, right? It's like you crossed a point with somebody here where it's like you guys just can't forgive and forget. The sorrow is too deep. And I feel like this person leaving is probably somehow connected with that. And so you've really thrown yourself into your work. That was the Eight of Discs, the stability of your work to get kind of through all of this. Five of Wands, strife. So again, Five of Wands talks about power control, in terms of like, could be, at work you've been arguing. It could be with your colleagues, with your friends. There's been a kind of like just back and forth, just picking on each other, arguing with each other too much. Sometimes strife is serious, and sometimes it's just when you play with each other, but you play too much, and it just gets to a point where everybody's pissed. You know what I mean? So it could be that kind of energy has definitely come in, and that's what you're kind of dealing with. So you're throwing yourself in your work to get, I think probably to get away from that energy. And you're feeling very creative, right? But again, you're feeling like, you need to set some boundaries. So that was that Eight of Wands. I think the reason why is because of this bickering, right? Could be, like I said, co-workers, project members, your social group. All right. But you feel free. Again, Princess of Wands is here. And Princess of Wands has come through for a lot of the readings. And you feel free, right? You're doing the shadow work with the Strength card here. And the Eight of Pentacles, you're like locking yourself down in work. You're doing the shadow work here as well. Eight of Cups is a shadow work cup, is a card because you're working on, you're setting boundaries and you're committing to them, and you're moving away from unhappy relationships. And so on top of that, you are feeling like Princess of Wands. Princess of Wands is like highly creative. Look at her. She's like, now she's naked. She's dancing with the tiger around her. She's in total control. She's released a lot of the jealousy and the envy that she was dealing with, or that people put under her or put on her. She doesn't have time for that, right? She knows who she is. And again, this is why perhaps a lot of these options, these ideas are happening. You're realizing you need to focus because of this energy, this like real like burst of creative energy that you're having, because you're finally coming through this period. It's been a real struggle, it's been a real kind of testing period for yourself, and you're moving forward. There's movement. Even though eights are talking about limitations and boundaries in your life, sevens, right? It's not like you're going backwards because you're going to a seven. It all depends on the energy, right? But you're actually moving forward now because you set those boundaries. You've realized who you are. You're starting to realize how strong you are. And now 7 being the number of dreaming and inspiration, surprises, and moving towards your dreams, right? You have 2 chariots. So there's huge movement. Some of you might be moving this month, physically moving where you live, right? But there's huge activity going on in terms of progressing forward. If you've been feeling like you've been at a standstill in life, that's all about to change because of this big leap you're making here. This is a big leap. Coming to terms with who you are and what you're willing to accept, that's a life kind of lesson. So you're going through a really heavy period right now in your love life with your love relationships. The Lover's card is there. So there is love there, but I think you're doing a lot of kind of inner work, right? And so this Lover's card is kind of like just up here. It's overshadowing everything. So you definitely want to make a journey with someone. You know, the attraction is there, but all of this needs to be gone through because you no longer want to have these unhappy relationships, right? You no longer want to be down here with these cups. You want your relationships to ascend. So that's what it's all about for you this month, Virgo. This video is about 30 minutes. That's perfect. I try not to go over 30. Thank you so much. I hope this resonated with y'all. So like, subscribe, share, and I'm going to cut it short and just tell everybody thank you so much. And Virgo, you have a wonderful, wonderful love month for June. Bye-bye.